Hi. So, I really don't want to make a video right now. Um, yeah, I'm just not in the mood. But I'm doing it anyway because self-discipline. I hate self-discipline. Self-discipline sucks. I don't know who invented that, but I hate it. I don't even know what to talk about really because nothing happened. I just went to work and I came home and that was it. Um, Yeah, you know what? Okay, I had this idea. I might as well just do it. So I'm gonna talk about my unpopular opinion. Most likely unpopular opinion. The only one I can think of right now, off the top of my head, is um, is something that kind of stretches on for some people the discussion of race and culture and cultural appropriation. Oh, sorry, and cultural appropriation. I should sit up. Um, so my opinion on the subject is basically that I don't care, and I don't think anyone else should care what somebody else chooses to do with their body, whether it be get braids, um, like of any kind, really, like whether it be box braids, Senegalese braids, twists, dreadlocks, if somebody chooses to tan or not, if somebody chooses to lighten their skin or not. I think that as long as the person is not putting themselves or someone else in harm's way, I don't think that anyone else should really give a shit about what someone else is doing with their body. Um, as far as cultural appropriation is concerned, I think that if you get box braids and you got them because you saw somebody wear them on, like, in a movie or something, and you thought, oh, that looks cool, I want to try that, because there are so many people who do that, especially nowadays uh when like you can stream videos from other countries into your own, and so you're getting a lot more pop culture from other nations that is now inspiring the way that you look, or choose to present yourself, you know? So if somebody decides, hey, I want to get box braids, you don't really know what their reason behind getting box braids is. And I don't think that you should be presumptuous, which I think is the main issue that I have with the whole cultural appropriation thing, is that um, after like a few really dumb people um, did something, it has now become like very much a knee jerk reaction to just assume that somebody has done something to themselves without knowing the history behind the culture that may be attached to the thing that they chose to do. So I, and like, yes, that might be true. Like, somebody might not know the culture behind box braids or the culture behind um, dreadlocks. Like, to be honest, most of us don't even know the true history behind cornrows or box braids or dreadlocks or any hairstyle, to be honest, because these, think about how long humans have been alive, and I'm pretty sure there were so many people who, of different races and different cultures, had similar hairstyles, and we don't know about it. So I feel like necessarily claiming something as your own isn't always the best route to go. But what I do think is helpful is if somebody were to get a hairstyle and you say, "Oh, that looks good on you. Why did you decide to change your hair? And then they can tell you, oh, well, I saw this actress or this actor with this hairstyle, so I decided to change it. And then you could have that conversation of, oh, well, actually, I've had that hairstyle too when I was younger. They're called blah, blah, blah. Or do you know that they're called blah, blah, blah? Because a lot of, especially living in Korea, like a lot of Koreans just call everything reggae mori, which is reggae hair. Everything, like box braids, twists, dreads, all of it. They just call it one thing, and it's reggae mori. So that is a perfect example of a moment when like you see if you saw a Korean person in Korea with hair and you're like, oh, that hairstyle is interesting. Like, why did you decide to have that hairstyle? And then they say, well, I thought it was cool because I saw so and so have it. Then you can tell them, oh, well, did you know that it's called blah, blah, blah? Um, and they can either say yes or they could say no. You're giving them the chance to really like defend, not even defend themselves, just to explain themselves and their point of view before you make a snap judgment. That's what you're doing. And I feel like that is the number one thing um that I have an issue with when it comes to people talking about cultural appropriation, specifically when it comes to hair. Um, and the other example would be like if you see a person who is extremely, extremely tan, and you're like, wow, you're really tan. Is that your real skin color? No, I'm joking. That is not the question you want to ask them. Like, you could go up to them and be like, oh, wow, you have such nice skin. Like, do you tan a lot or do you, or is that like your natural skin? Because it very well could be. Like, I feel like people are so presumptuous to think that like if they see someone that they would assume has pale skin that like they've tanned. And sometimes there are people, I'm not, there's an extent to which this is true, but there are some, like, for example, Korean men and women who are actually very tan. My arm, so I've mentioned before that I really don't like the fact that my hand and my face are two different colors, but if you look at my hand or my arm for that matter, I have met many, many Koreans who are the color of my hand or my or and or my arm. I've never met somebody who's like as dark as the skin on my face, but like my hand and my arm have definitely been like very close to several Koreans that I've met, their complexion. So I feel like you shouldn't automatically think, oh, this person is not pale, um, which is what I expect all people of this race or ethnicity to be, so they must tan. And they must be tanning so that they can be black. That is so. I feel like that's the hugest overstretch I've ever heard in my life. That's one of them. Anyway, I've heard that comment so many times, and I'm like, I don't get how you leaped from A to Z, but I need you to bring it back at least to like T. T. Let's just go back to T. Um, so yeah, and like there are some very pale people who do like get tans in an extreme way, in my opinion, extreme way, where they're like 10 shades light darker than their actual skin tone. But at the same time, that's what they, when they look in the mirror, that makes them feel comfortable and that makes them feel confident in themselves. And who am I to say that they can't do that? Um, the problem with the thing that like is concerning but shouldn't necessarily be reprimanded, like I wouldn't use the word reprimand in this sense, but the thing that you should be concerned about is if they say, oh yeah, I want to look like I don't know, I want to look like Will Smith, and so I tan. Like that is the part that I'm like, ooh, I should be concerned for you because you don't love yourself. That is when I'm concerned. But if they're literally like, oh yeah, I like being tan because I work out and it shows my muscles more, or I like being tan just because I think it complements my face structure, or I like being tan just because I like being tan. Like when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, I'm hot. You know? That's just that's just what they like, then I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I feel like this is this is where my opinion would probably get unpopular, is that I don't care. Like if somebody just likes the way that they look in something, I don't think that it's necessarily um up to someone else to reprimand them and to tell them to not do that. If somebody wants to wear dreads, they can do that. My only issue with dreads, honestly, them shits better not look like trash. That's all I care about. If your dreads do not look like dreads, if your dreads are matted in the sense that they are not, I have this issue with all dreads, mind you. Like there are some black people, my sister tried to do this, and who do like natural who I shouldn't do that. That's actually the name of it. Who do natural dreads, like they let their hair mat and dread naturally. Um, but they'll like split it apart maybe if they want it to not be like a huge clump on one side or whatever. But for the most part, they'll let it dread naturally. When I had dreads, they were man-made dreads. That like my mom actively took pieces of my hair, twisted them together so that they became a dread, and styled them like that every single month or so. Um, Whereas there are some people who just let their hair mat naturally, and those are natural dreads. I do not like natural dreads. That is my opinion. And some people will say that like they like the look of natural dreads, they think it looks cool, whatever. I personally do not like the look of natural dreads. I especially do not like the look of natural dreads when it is not on hair that like dreads easily, i.e., straight hair. Like if your hair is not curly and you try to do your dreads naturally, it just doesn't look right to me. It looks like, I'm not going to insult it. It just doesn't look right to me. So that's my only issue with that specifically. And then again, like when somebody says that they are trying to look like somebody else, I'd be concerned, mostly because I would think that they don't love themselves. But again, you still have to hear them out up until a certain point when you can kind of confirm that, like, oh no, they just don't know how to say things. Because sometimes people just, you know, we all do it. We all mess up our words sometimes. Um, but yeah, I don't know. This has been a rant. And if, I don't know, most of my words have probably not made any sense. But hey, I made a video today. So look at me go. All right. I'm gonna see you tomorrow. I don't know what I'm gonna be filming tomorrow, but you'll see something, I'm sure. This is so lazy. Okay. I'm gonna go now. Bye.